You can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.
Hello, hello, hello out there in podcast land. You have reached Johnny Has the Keys, where we talk about horror films and science fiction movies and those key elements that help lift them above the average genre fare. If you're a first-time listener to our show, we would like to welcome you. We hope that you have watched these movies maybe before you listen so that we don't spoil them terribly for you. If not, and you do have friends and you would like to invite them to come listen to us, we would also like you to.
You almost made it.
Almost.
It was so close. I could feel it.
Yeah, the wheels were turning, but the bubble gum got in there. I just visioned out.
Visioned out, yes.
But we would like you to encourage your friends to enjoy our show as
Yes.
well, especially if you're enjoying it. My name is Tim. I am here with my friend David. Hello, David.
Hello, Tim.
What's going on out there in your genre week?
What's going on? Two things. One, I did catch the new Disney Plus little special thing. I think it's called Assembled, about WandaVision. It's like a behind the scenes documentary, everything. It was really interesting after we had already done our podcast for it. And a lot of the stuff that we mentioned, they mentioned in this behind the scenes, which I thought was really cool. Stuff like using the period lenses for the first three episodes and using that lighting and the fact it's really interesting because it's very behind the scenes. Lots of great footage behind the scenes, lots of interviews with them, with Olsen, with Peter Bettany, all of them, and arc telling too. How is this going to affect the MCU? What's it going to do? Where is it going? All these really cool stuff. One thing that they said that they showed that I was going to mention to you was they filmed the first episode in front of a live audience. They actually had it set up like a sitcom with the tears and the audience. And they even had wooden collapsible chairs because they wanted it to feel like the 50s, like you were watching Dick Van Dyke.
That's wild.
And they used the format like
insane.
Dick Van Dyke, which means it was theater to them. And Olsen and Bettany's talking about, I haven't appeared in front of a live audience in probably 20 years. So this is very interesting for me because they did it like theater. They did the whole thing with no stops and everything. They only stopped for like the special effects. Like she had to do the Bewitched thing where she would freeze and then they would run in and change her coat and then they would go unfreeze and she would keep going. It was great. Watch it. It was really cool.
That's the kind of stuff we used to do when we would first get a video camera back in the 80s.
Yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like special effects tricks.
And then the wires, can you make things float like Samantha? Whatever. But anyway, it was really good. I highly suggest it, especially for those of you out there who are, geeky enough to like the MCU and WandaVision and all that. And then the only other little thing I had was, I listened to my podcast by Lisa Lilly, which is Buffy and the Art of Story.
Right.
I've mentioned several times. I really love it. It's my favorite. She also has a webpage and everything called Writing as a Second Career. And I wanted to plug that too, because I went to the website and it's really kind of cool. And she has a lot of free material for people out there who, have a story, but they don't know how to write it or don't know how to get it out or whatever. And I would love to have your take on it as a writer, specifically going and looking at it and seeing, was it helpful? Was it not? Is that stupid? No, I never do that. I remember you and I used to talk about King and King's whole, writing his work process thing and the fact that he would X number of hours at X number of period of time.
Literally right now I'm sitting in my office at least 10 hours a day.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I'll get up, I'll take an hour for, a shower or a walk, but I go right back. I usually am in here by 9 in the morning, and I don't leave till 7 at night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Writing is work, folks. It's hard.
It's stressful. I think,
But you get benefits like Tim's book, which is great, which we'll plug at the end. So stick around and you'll hear about it.
And I like the freedom of being home and not having to worry about the workaday world. But there's stress from other areas. You've got stress, thinking, am I going to get this out on time? Am I going to make money with it? Am I going to, that kind of thing.
Of course.
And then you've got the added mush of your brain from staring at a computer screen for 10 hours too. So,
True.
But
True.
I'm not going to complain. I'm not complaining for sure.
Well, when you're not sitting in your office writing copiously for 10 hours a day, what do you do? What did you do this week?
Well, I went back in time about a decade and watched the first 2 seasons of The Walking Dead.
Did you say seasons?
Seasons.
So you watched all of them?
Yeah, I'm actually into the 3rd now.
Aren't there like
but I've only seen 2
episodes a year or something?
Well, the first season was only 6, and the second season was only 13. So it was 19 episodes.
So it's kind of like Buffy was. Buffy was like that midsummer replacement, and they only had like 6 or 8 episodes, and then they had a quarter season to make up for it.
I can't remember. I did watch Buffy in reruns. Actually, I bought the DVDs as they came out.
Yeah.
Walking
Dead.
Dead started with 6 episodes in like 2010, I think. And and then they did 13 episodes in season 2, and then they went to their regular 16 episodes in season 3.
With a mid-season finale thing.
Which is like the norm now, I think, for a lot of shows.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they kind of started that, I think. I was so impressed. I mean, I still love the show, but I'm a little jaded because I've seen and read so much of this subgenre of zombies. And I forgot how good the pilot was, which was directed by Frank Darabont.
Yes, before they ousted him. Yeah.
Right. Who, for those of you that don't know, also did The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile. He's a Stephen King kind of director. And The Mist, yeah. He is still credited for writing The Walking Dead. There was a controversy either prior or during season 2. There's not a lot of information out there. And believe me, I've looked for it. But I read the other day that the actor, and I cannot think of his name, that plays Dale, he's a regular of Darabont's. He was in The Green Mile, and I think he was in Shawshank. And Dale is a major character in the Walking Dead comic universe. But when they ousted Darabont, apparently it had to do with money. Well, obviously it always does, but he was big on telling more story with less episodes. And since it was successful, I guess they were wanting to stretch it from whatever he thought, 10 to 13 episodes. And he balked and said, no, you're watering this down. Let me do it with less episodes and more money. And they're like, no, you do it with less money and more episodes. And he's like, I'm out.
A studio. Yay.
Right.
Yeah.
And as soon as that actor that played Dale, and this killed me when this happened on the show, because I was like, they're changing the comic book. Why would they kill that character off? Well, I found out that he got pissed that they did it, and he said, write me out. I'm off. So that's why Dale left the show, because the actor refused to do it anymore. And that's what got me interested in going back and watching all this stuff. And the first season is just amazing. And I used to think, because of the people, or because of the buzz that you heard at the time, that the second season was a little boring because it was on a farm and there wasn't a lot of action. And I think the second season may be my favorite season now.
Doesn't the second season have the barn at the end, or what? Yeah,
it's not at the end. The
Near the
walkers
end.
come out of it mid-season.
Okay,
It burns
mid-season
down
then.
at the end, but
Yeah. But wait, and isn't that is it Herschel? Is
it
that
is Herschel.
the character?
It's Maggie's introduction. It's all the character building. I mean, there's so much going on. You've got the whole Lady Macbeth thing with Laurie telling Rick what he needs to do. And you've got Shane, the jealous boyfriend that, who's in love with Laurie and thinks that she's pregnant with his child. You've got Maggie falling for Glenn. You've got Herschel hoarding walkers in a barn and not telling anybody. There's a lot of shit going on, and it's all good stuff. You've got the Carl taking a gun and going off into the woods. Yeah. And like there's a zombie stuck in the mud and he's like throwing rocks at it and taunting it.
Oh yeah.
Really good
There's
stuff.
a lot, from what I remember, there's a lot in that second season that really set the tone for that series. These small stories told incredibly well, some with very some giving in to human emotion or human frailties in ways that would be logical, would make sense.
Rick.
Coral throwing rocks, that is what a kid would do.
Right.
A man who really loves
and
people,
that's the zombie that ends up killing Dale because he panics and runs instead of shooting it.
Right.
Yeah.
And Herschel keeping people because to him they're still people.
He thinks there's going to be a cure.
Monsters. Yeah.
And it's like they're relatives he's got out there in the barn.
And it's that old thing that's in a lot of that, that we've covered on the series in a couple of our zombie things, which is, how human is human. When do you stop being human? Are you more like them now? Kind of thing, really good stuff. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I do agree that pilot probably should go down in history as one of the best pilots ever shown.
Yeah, it's pretty
phenomenal.
And Morgan's in it, which is great because, he doesn't come back for several seasons.
Yeah, you're right.
And he's only in that first episode. But also in season 2, it starts off with, the horde or the herd coming through their traffic jam on the highway, and they're all hiding under the cars. And Sophia comes out, and there's one there, and she panics and runs in the woods, and she gets lost, and she's missing for the whole half a season.
Oh yeah,
and she turns out being one of the zombies in Herschel's barn.
In the barn.
Yeah,
love it.
One of the best season. Well, it's a mid-season finale, but one of the best season finale type things I've ever seen in my life. When she came out of that barn, I thought I was going to faint.
Oh, I watched that season. I watched that scene. Somebody had it in my list on YouTube just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. And the entire thing from Herschel breaking down on his knees and crying to, just all of that was really good. And then Rick had to be the one, right? Rick had to be the one to put her down.
Rick is the one that did. Yep. Shane's the one that started everything by letting them all out because Rick was trying to keep the peace between Herschel and the group so he wouldn't make them leave. And one other thing I was going to mention, and we'll quit talking because I could talk about the show all the time, but you were talking about how this set up things going forward. And now that I've seen them all going back, you're absolutely right, because this is the season where Rick changes because, he's Joe Good cowboy cop. And in this one, he has to kill people. He kills those dumbasses they run into at the bar when they're trying to get Herschel after Herschel falls off the wagon.
Oh, yeah.
And he also ends up killing Shane because Shane is trying to kill him.
Yeah.
And
and
you see Rick go a little dark in this season, and then he just continues to go darker and darker. So
which is good. And I'm curious. I mean, we don't have to keep talking about it because, like you said, we could do an entire episode on this.
Yeah. I know.
Because I know you've read a lot of the graphic novel and I have not. So I'm curious, other than Dale, did they change a lot of the farm story? Is that in the novel at all? In the graphic novel,
the farm stuff is in the novel, but that That Dale dying was definitely set the trajectory of the storyline off, because
Right.
Dale, surprisingly enough, ended up with Andrea, the young blonde who is kind of fighting with him a little bit in that season.
Mm-hmm.
And then after Dale dies later, Dale's character is the Bob character that comes in later that gets his leg eaten by those
Right.
cannibals. And Dale ends up dying, and Andrea ends up with Rick, not Michonne. Michonne never ended up with, I think Michonne ended up with Ezekiel, not because there was no Carol either. Carol was a bit part, and Daryl didn't
Right.
exist at all. And I've
At
got to
all.
where I kind of like Daryl going back and watching him now.
Well, it's interesting, a huge key that you just gave me is, the producers, albeit the ones that really destroyed the last season, but the producers of Game of Thrones probably learned a lot from this
Oh, I'm sure.
about how to take source material and key elements that are still big in that source material, but you may have killed off a character because it benefited an earlier scene. Well, now you've got to morph a new character into whatever takes place in this key element scene. You know, you got to have Rick with a girlfriend. Well, you can't have, Carol because Carol's not there or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, because they did do that, they did diverge from the story, but then they keep coming back to these intersections that are in the novel. From what I've read, I haven't seen the novel, so
Honestly, you could compare it to Abrams' Star Trek and what to do right and what to do wrong. You could,
yeah,
because I mean, it is basically a shared universe, or a parallel universe where different things happen, but it's the same world. On Star Trek, they change entire characters and stuff, which is a little odd.
yeah.
So,
But interesting, you mentioned Star Trek and alternative worlds,
wow, what a segue.
because we segued right into what we're talking about today, which just sit back and relax, folks, because this happens to be one of my favorite movies of all time. So we'll
And it's
definitely speak.
also, if I counted right, it is also our 7th comedic film. It's like we've got a comedy theme going this year, and there's still, this season, and there's another one coming. So
Wow.
7 comedies.
And look at that. We are going to have to do like some compendium at the end of this season about all the comparisons that we've come up with, because we've come up with it's been really unique this year about how things have, even though we threw the list together last season, before we even finished season 2.
I'm wrong.
But just
it's our 5th. There's
but
6
just how
total.
things have tied in has been really interesting.
Sorry, I forgot
but
I had them marked.
For those of you who tuned in and said, would you guys just please get to the frickin' story? We are
Coral,
don't throw those rocks. Stop sleeping with my wife, you. Anyway, so we are doing in my opinion, a classic, and I will go ahead and just state it from the very beginning, what some people call the 7th best Star Trek movie ever made, even though there are 11 or 12 now.
And it's comedic, kind of like the 4th one.
We are doing a little comedy that came out in 1999, starring Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman, called Galaxy Quest. There are times in past years when Saturday Night Live writers, I went, you could learn from this. You could learn how to do a parody from this and also be heartwarming, tell a good story, keep it going, great pacing, everything. I do think it deserves a synopsis, so I'll give everybody a synopsis. It's just the very top. And this is one I found that I really love, so I want to read it. A team of intrepid adventurers travels through the outer reaches of the galaxy each week, finding excitement and adventure on Galaxy Quest. Or at least that's the way it was in the mid-1970s, when brave, if reckless, Captain Peter Quincy Taggart, lovely Lieutenant Tawny Madison, and inscrutable alien Dr. Lazarus were the leaders of an interstellar law enforcement team on the TV series of the same name. 20 years later, the show is still in reruns, and Jason Nesmith, Gwen DeMarco, and Alexander Dane prop up their sagging careers by making appearances at sci-fi conventions where they grudgingly shake hands and give autographs for the show's socially inept following. However, it turns out that nerdy sci-fi fans aren't the only ones watching. Somewhere in another solar system, a group of alien rebels living under a regime of violence and repression have picked up broadcasts of Galaxy Quest, and they aren't aware that it's fiction. They travel to Earth and encounter the Galaxy Quest cast, who figure that they're just another bunch of guys who like to dress funny. However, they soon realize that they're being hired not for another autograph signing session, but for a real-life outer space rescue mission. I loved that. I found that online and went, yeah. And it sounds as pompous as the movie. You know, it sounds as overblown as the movie is. What did you think of this movie? You had seen this before, I'm sure.
I have. I love this movie. I think it's extremely funny, but it's because of our relationship with Star Trek, obviously, that we like it, because they're playing off of a lot of different things. They're playing off the series itself. They're playing off the actors themselves, and they're playing off of rumors about the actors themselves as well. I have not seen it since it came out, and I owned it on video, but it was DVD that I was surprised to see is 20 years old. And I was a little surprised at how dark my copy of it looked. But
really,
considering it was on a DVD, it wasn't great quality. I don't know if it's the film stock they used or if it just needs a remastering or what. Or it could have just been a cheap $9.99 DVD. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the director. Are you?
Dean Parasote was the director. He had done Home Fries, which I had not seen, but I heard was a good comedy. But he also recently did Bill and Ted Face the Music, the sequel to Bill and Ted.
I saw that. Yeah. I didn't see the movie, but I saw that he directed it.
Which I did not saw because I don't like Bill and Ted. I wasn't a big fan of the original nor this one.
What about Socrates?
But no, it was this. Yeah, this was one of those, I think, maelstrom kind of coming together of forces kind of thing, because, and you'll know more of the history. I didn't look into
I know some of the history, and I kind of wish that I could have seen that version.
But I do know that David Howard and Robert Gordon, the two guys that wrote it, really, Robert Gordon went on and wrote a bunch of other stuff. He wrote Men in Black, another great parody and good science fiction and everything else. But, David Howard really didn't do anything else. And this movie has had rumors of a sequel for at least 15 years that I'm aware of, that have never come to fruition. Even the latest was like a month ago, and they're saying, no, now it's going to be a Netflix series. No, it's not. It's going to be another movie. No, it's not. Well, what do we do? Because, we don't have a Dr. Lazarus anymore because Alan Rickman passed away
and he's all phenomenal.
That. Oh my gosh. He is Leonard Nimoy to a T. I swear to God.
Well, and I could see them maybe doing another movie, but I can't see it being a series based on the concept. Is it going to be a different alien each week that they interact with? That's
right. Agreed. Or would it be a, what's Tina Fey's show that she
30
did?
Rock?
Right. So they show the show and then the backstage at the same time.
I would love that.
And that might be interesting. If they did that concept, I could see that, even down to the fact that they could say, hey, we had to replace Alexander Dane because he passed away.
David, that would totally work. I would buy that in a heartbeat.
And I could see that working, and Netflix doesn't right now have a really strong comedy that they've got in their stable. So it might be interesting, but it would have to be, again, I think, crafted as lovingly and as homage wise as this is.
Well, and 30 Rock is so fast paced and so full of little tiny Easter eggs that I could easily see them doing that with a sci-fi show. It would be really funny.
Have some big producer at the studio who's going, monkeys are popular. Put monkeys in it.
Right.
Next week's episode, I want monkeys. And the writers are all throwing stuff, trying to write in monkeys into a.
Mark Wahlberg's a guest star or something.
Yeah.
Or, somebody that's in a Planet of the Apes movie. Yeah.
So that sort of thing I could see, and I could even see them. Okay, it's a way to phase out. If you don't want to pay for them, whatever, or their time commitment, it's a way to phase out Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, all the original cast, because they're being replaced because it is becoming a television show.
Well,
again.
I mean, honestly, I'm looking at the cast right now, and I don't think you'd have to pay much to get Tim Allen. I don't think you had to pay much to get him then. But Tony Shalhoub is pretty popular, and I mean, Sigourney is a star.
Sam Rockwell's done
popular.
well.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Sam Rockwell's real popular. I love the guy that played who's the black guy? Tommy. God,
Tommy.
he's hilarious.
Yeah, Daryl Mitchell. I looked him up and couldn't find really much on him of anything else.
But he
is
great.
Dude, you are
this.
so good in this.
That whole time when they're getting attacked and he's screaming, I was laughing so hard.
Jason!
my arm's broke.
Call. He's running down the hill. Yeah, it's so good.
Really funny.
He's
stuff.
really, and that's a good thing. They cast some really good comedic actors in this who have their moments, each have great timing. I mean, my initial watch of this has like 8 different superlatives. Love the theme, love the design, love the music, great cast, great set design, like costumes, makeup. I mean, I just keep listing.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure about all of the aliens, but 2 of the aliens have comedic backgrounds. That Enrico guy, that's the lead alien, was on Just Shoot Me, and then the woman is Missy Pyle, and I think
That's Missy Pyle. Yeah,
wasn't she on like Mad TV or something?
Yeah,
I think she was.
Yeah, but you also, Rainn Wilson is
right. You barely even recognize him.
He's one of the termites, and Robin Sachs is another great actor who plays Saris. He's really good in this and plays him so overbearing. And
I have him somewhere. There he is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that makeup. Love that makeup. And by the way, there's a huge key in that makeup. It's 2 actually. Do you see him?
Looks like the Grinch.
Well, that'd be a 3rd. I'd give you that one, but no. The 2 keys are the eye patch is Kang from Undiscovered Country,
right?
And his headpiece is from The Thing.
It's the little legs. Okay,
the legs from the lobster thing they call that.
Yeah, the spider. Gotcha.
But yeah, those are 2 little keys I just threw out there. But okay, so you had seen it before. You like it.
There's a little bit of history. I don't know if you knew this. Do you know who originally developed this?
No.
When I tell you, you're going to go, ooh, I wish I'd have seen that version.
Really? You think I am? Because I really like this version. I'm just saying.
It was originally developed by Harold Ramis for Alec Baldwin to play the captain.
Who?
Alec Baldwin. We were just talking about 30 Rock too.
He could have done that.
Yeah.
He could have played that arrogant, especially at that time. That was Hunt for Red October time, so he would have been good for that.
Right.
And Ramis is a good writer. I mean, I love all of his movies. He's a good director too.
But I mean, this is kind of like Ghostbusters to me.
Well, without the homage
to Ghost, it's just science fiction. I don't know. I know it's not the same story. It's just got the same feel to me.
No, I do like this. It's that type of comedy. Same as Men in Black, same as Ghostbusters.
Right.
Yes, I definitely get those keys references because it's an over the top comedy that still stays true to itself. It doesn't get farcical, crazy, like, oh, I don't believe that anymore. Kind of, as long as you go with the concept to begin with. In Men in Black, aliens have been here all along. Elvis didn't go home, didn't die, he just went home, sort of, and they're covert and secret. Okay, we buy that. Watch the rest of the movie. We're good. Galaxy Quest was a television series, and these are the cast in their final, the waning years of their career, and they picked up by aliens. Okay, cool. I'm going with the premise.
Right.
Ghosts are real, and Venkman has a way to trap them. you know. So, but uh, well, what happened then? If Ramus was originally
Apparently, and this does not surprise me, he wanted Alec, but Alec had to turn it down for some reason. And then Steve Martin and Kevin Kline were also considered. And then when the studio stepped in and cast Tim Allen, Harold Ramis said no, and he was out.
really, so the studio forced Allen on him, and he didn't want him. I don't
And
know.
Allen has a
does
bad reputation. I don't know if you knew that.
I know he's. I know the only reason he's in that series he's in now is because he's basically playing himself, that grumpy old white guy, or
Right.
whatever he's playing now. I don't know what the name of one. Last Man Standing is the name of it, I think. And I've watched a couple episodes and went, "Ooh, this is just mean. It's just no, it's not good." But I think as a movie star, I've liked him in everything I've seen him in.
I think he's great doing the voice of Buzz Lightyear. I don't have a problem with that at all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But
I like him in Santa Claus. I mean, he makes, he's decent.
I don't know that I've seen him in anything. I just don't go out of my way to see his stuff.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, he's a decent. I think he's a great Jason Nesmith. I think he shows the comedy, he shows the arrogance. I think he shows the warmth, the flirtation. I mean, everything that's necessary to make that character work. I think he does great at.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he does make a great Buzz Lightyear, of course.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see. I would just love to see Alec Baldwin do some of Shatner's mannerisms.
Oh yeah,
because he would nail it.
Definitely. He would have a ball with it, being that arrogant and everything else.
Right, and flirty too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, we don't have to go into casting yet if you're not ready, and I don't have a tremendous amount anyway. But did you want to talk about scenes?
Yeah, let's talk about scenes. Okay. All of them. Let's start from the beginning. I love the aspect ratio at the beginning being the 4:3 for the television show.
Yeah, that was cool.
And the look of it is very vintage and unique. I like the way they shot it. It's because it's almost washed out. It's almost like you're watching it on a projector, and then it pulls back and you're watching it on a projector at a conference, at a convention. And oh my gosh, did that science fiction convention remind you of every horror science fiction convention we've been to?
God, it was really, really funny. I mean, that was some of my favorite stuff was when, especially when Alan Rickman just does not want to be there at all. I mean, what is his name?
Alexander Dane.
Alexander Dane does not want to be there at all. And at first, Jason Nesmith is all into it because, he's Joe Cool, William Shatner. But then when he overhears the kids in the bathroom trashing him, he's not really that keen on being there anymore.
But all the stuff, I mean, the way Rockwell treats that kind of overblown announcer who is so happy to, have some fleeting touch to this original series, but now he's announcing the cast and he's, the big convention guy. The way all the groups of kids are people, and some of them are older. It's not like, oh, this is a big teen market. Some of them are like old dudes with Klingon wigs.
And what's funny is they did look like Klingons, but they weren't. It's like they're trying to make them look like when they're lined up in the bathroom at the urinals. I was like, look, there's 3 Klingons pissing, because from behind they did look like Klingons.
Yeah, they had the big armor and everything else. And what's funny is that you can see the Klingons. I mean, keys for me, you can see Klingons, or their version of a Klingon, their version of an Andorian, and their version of a Tellarite. And you can see it all in the background.
Right.
And the only thing they don't really make fun of is the Vulcans, because
copyright.
I think the Thermians look like Vulcans. They have the flat
kind of
hair
and
they straight
do.
cut and all that. But yeah, all the convention scenes worked for me really well. All the girls,
I don't have a picture of a convention
swooning and everything else over, did Tawny Madison really like Jason Nesmith and all that?
When they go into the minutia of the episode, and that Tim Allen just finally goes, It's a TV show.
It's a TV, which is direct. The key to that is that Saturday Night Live episode, with William Shatner, because that really happened in the skit.
Right. I need to put that down so I can.
In
that
episode 52, you opened your safe in your quarters. What was the combination? He goes, it was a TV show.
Right. Who cares?
Get a life. Move out of your parents' basement, for God's sake. He says, you're taking something I did as a lark, just as a paycheck, and turning it into a monumental waste of time.
Yeah.
But I love that one shot level with the table of Alexander, and the guy goes, I grabbed Thor's hammer, and he goes, and grabs the picture.
And later when one of the aliens says it, he says, don't,
please, don't. Yeah. But again, great storytelling. What happens by the end? He goes full arc back to it because he's avenging Quillig. It's just, I like, scenes, other scenes. What are your
if you're
favorite
progressing
scenes?
from the convention, you have Tim Allen or should I say Jason Nesmith in his house hung over. And Dennis was in the room at the time I was watching that, and he goes, that house is in about 100 different movies. I said, yeah, I think it was like Frank Sinatra's house at one time. Yep. It's like this really famous mid-century modern house that you see in a bunch of movies. It's a gorgeous house.
It's the one from 10, Bo Derek movie. That's where he lives.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it's been around since the 50s. So
yeah.
I thought it was funny how the thermites, is that what they're called?
The Thermians
are they come to his house, and I mean, I would have been a little alarmed. He didn't seem quite as alarmed, I guess, because he was hungover.
Yeah, he was
so hungover. If I had some super fans show up at my door, I think I would be a little bit worried.
Well, and he was at first. You could tell he was kind of like, this was not cool, guys, to come to my house. And then they go, we've arranged the the limousine. He's going, oh yeah, you're those guys. Okay, yeah, sure, great. I guess I should put some pants on, but
right,
because they'll do anything for a job. I mean, that's why they all get out and go with him when he comes to get them.
And that is good motivation. Now that you mentioned it, because there was one scene where they actually say that when they're in the car, I think, and someone.
Well, yeah, Shalhoub's character actually says, "I think we should have just taken the gig. I mean, when's he going to ask us again?" And they all go, yeah. And then because you can see right. George Takei and Nichelle Nichols and James Doohan all
Walter
going.
Koenig, yes.
Yeah, we better.
Yes.
We better take it. Yeah. Of course, that's the layers on this. If you know Star Trek, the layers on this are phenomenal. And if you are a super fan of Star Trek like I am and you are, we see even more. Mm-hmm. That whole thing with you just
Nesmith
mentioned it.
In the bathroom. That really happened to Shatner.
That really happened to William Shatner. And there's other ones too that are sprinkled throughout that are, like you said, rumors or interviews of people saying stuff that really happened to the cast and went on from there. The whole, he's an arrogant prick and doesn't get along with anybody else. Nimoy is so method that he has to get into character because he comes from such a method background.
Right. And even the stuff they added fit, like the character Gwen plays says something about TV Guide doing an interview with her, and basically it was 2 pages of how she got her boobs into her costume or something, right. Which would make sense. That would
That's
happen.
A true story as well. That happened to Jerry Ryan.
Oh, it did?
Yes.
Oh, so you're talking about a later Star Trek movie. I was thinking of the original series.
No, not the original, but yeah, that incident of you do a TV Guide interview and instead of talking about your craft, they talk about your costume and your boobs or and everything else really happened to Jerry Ryan because she was breasts of 7 or 7 of 9, my friend Tom always called her breasts of 7.
I was like, that's not a Freudian slip.
That was no, he always called her that. It's just a thing for
that's funny
for Voyager. But like, the way they treat the fan guys, I mean, you feel sorry for Brandon and his crew because they keep getting, messed up by Jason because he just basically ignores them.
Mhm.
And yet they end up, again, great storytelling. They end up at the end saving the day, kind of thing, in more ways than one.
Right.
Which
And
I
then
thought
they get
was,
a new show.
and they get a new show. I like other scenes. I was just trying to remember because there's
I've got something. I love the way they transport. I think that's wild and
Yes.
fun.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of Ghostbusters there because it's that
definitely.
weird goo.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the two moments I love the most in that are they all appear and they're freaking out. The Thermians come in like in your picture there without their transparency cloaks on, and they're like, and they're all freaking out. And then Tony Shalhoub's character of Tech Sergeant Chen appears, and instead of reacting that way, he goes, "Well, there's a thing," and he just steps off with Jason and looks back at him and goes, "What's wrong with them?"
Yeah.
And then
he's
Rockwell
always
does that.
Joe Cool. I mean, he's the one that ends up with one of them there at the end.
Yeah, with Missy. Yeah, Lori Alari, I think is her name. But he has some of the best lines in this. I mean, they'll have this big panic moment, and then he's on the screen going, "Guys, talking with my team, and they said there's another beryllium sphere, nearby. Just thought you might like to know."
He's like I can't think of his name. No, the guy in the thing that does the Chariots of the Gods line.
Oh yeah.
Norris, maybe. No, it's not Norris.
No, Norris was the other one. Anyway.
But yeah, it reminds me of that character kind of because he's real low key and probably stoned.
Yeah, or just that, he just kind of goes with everything. Everything he says is just this kind of, yeah, okay, sure. Like when they eject the Saris's men out into space, and they look over and he's at the console and he goes, "Yeah, that door was sticking a little bit. I'm gonna have my guys
I'm gonna look at that
WD-40."
Yeah, that's great.
He's got great, and I've got a whole list of lines from this movie. I love some of the lines.
And I love what's it, Enrico Colantoni, whatever his name is.
Yes,
he's from Just Shoot Me, and that's all I know him from. And he's that alien, and he's so funny.
He plays Mathesar, right?
What?
He plays Mathesar, right?
Right. And I read somewhere, I don't know if I have it in my notes, but I read somewhere that he just killed the audition. They just immediately said, "Oh yeah, you're the guy."
I had doing research. I had read that he did that for the audition, and they had not told him to do that. He did it that way for the audition. They loved it so much that they actually showed the audition to the other cast members when they cast him and said,
"You have to talk like this."
Yeah. I love that. You are our only hope.
Yeah. And I love that they don't really look like humans. They really look like weird octopus looking things.
Love that. That was a great element. To me, the key to that was that to me hit me as a very Harlan Ellison kind of thing, because Harlan would do that. He would say, well, who's the non-corporeal here? Because everybody can't be a freaking humanoid.
Okay.
I've read interviews where he and Straczynski were big on that in Babylon 5, but they didn't really have the money to do CGI characters and to do what they wanted to do. So they had to do very accentuated characters. That's why the Centauri have the big fins and the Minbari have the bone heads, and they're trying to do something that is not just, two prosthetics on their forehead and they become a different alien. Too. Love those. Okay. Did you not love that scene?
Yeah.
When they're all watching and Sam Rockwell is hilarious doing that. Did you guys even watch the show?
Yeah.
Do you know what's going to happen? They look cute, but that's not what. No.
Right. And I've only seen the movie once 20 years ago. And when I watched it the other night, I was like, oh, yeah, I know what's going to happen with those guys.
And they carry it further, too. Like when Jason is captured and he's laying there on the ground and it's showing the what they're saying, the
The caption.
subtitles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're saying, what should we do with it? Hit it with a rock and we'll eat it.
Hit
And
it with
go,
the rock and we'll eat it. They got a million little teeth. They look like that little devil doll from Trilogy of Terror.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
teeth.
But when they first come out, they're all smiles, like the guy on behind your right ear. That dude is all smiles and nice. Lean to your left.
Oh yeah. That guy.
See, that's the way they look, but then rah, and they turn into these teeth things. Yeah.
Right.
And Garignok, who's not Garignok, it's a pig lizard or whatever.
That reminded me a little bit of Mandalorian.
Ooh, I did not catch that, but yes, I could definitely see Mandalorian paying homage to that in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's definitely true. I loved all the tech all the way through. I loved the digital converter, which was their version of the transporter, their goo teleporter, which actually takes
the teleporter is one of my favorites. Yeah, I love that because it basically shoots them through space.
Right.
It goes to a black hole just to speed things up, but they're basically flying through space at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
The communicator, which I think at one point they call a Vox, which is their version of a communicator from Star Trek.
Mm.
And then their what did he call it? It was a tricorder thing, but he called it something else. I can't remember. Oh, surface scanner. That was the thing that Alexander was using, and he was wrong. And he goes, "Oh, it's this way," and they had to turn around.
Yeah.
And Tommy goes, "Man, I believed you for a minute. I thought you was actually smart because you was holding that thing." Oh, I love it.
You want to talk a little bit about cast?
Yeah.
I can tell. Well, I mean, obviously, we've already talked about Tim Allen. The only other people up for that was Alec Baldwin, Steve Martin, and Kevin Kline that I have information on. Excuse me. Sigourney Weaver, of course, played Gwen DeMarco. I mean, she's a key in herself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she even has a line that says something about, "Oh, I hate ducks. Why ducks?
Why is it always ducks?"
Yeah, which is a direct reference to Alien.
Mm-hmm.
Alexander Dane is played by Alan Rickman, who did leave us a few years back. Fantastic Shakespearean actor that will always be remembered for Die Hard, playing the villain in Die Hard. Tony Shalhoub, who is still working, he's on that very popular Amazon show that Dennis likes so much about the female comedian. I can't remember.
What's her name?
Mrs. something.
The Amazing Miss Maisel or
Maisel.
Maisie,
that's it, Mrs.
or whatever.
Maisel. He's her dad on that. Sam Rockwell almost backed out after winning the lead role in an independent film, but apparently Kevin Spacey convinced him otherwise. So I guess he's friends with Kevin Spacey, and Spacey said, "You need to do this movie."
He was great.
Yeah.
He was great in Iron Man 2. He was great in.
I could have seen Kevin Spacey
3.
in the lead of this movie too, now that I think about it.
Yes, I could. Yes, I agree with you. That would have been a good casting as well. I could see him do that. Rockwell also went and did Moon. If you've never seen Moon as a sci-fi movie, it's really good, and it's got some unique twists to it. Sam Rockwell's very, very strong in that movie.
I've always liked him. I usually confuse him with Gary Oldman because they look alike to me for some reason. I think he's younger, but we mentioned the guy that plays Tommy Weber. His name is Daryl Mitchell. He is hysterical. However, he was their second choice. Apparently, David Alan Grier was. Oh, excuse me. He was first choice. David Alan Grier was second choice for that role, and I could probably see him in that. David Alan Grier could have easily pulled off a Geordie LaForge.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
All they'd have to do is put that on his eyes, because he even had that kind of haircut for a long time.
Yeah.
Enrico Colantoni played Mathazar. We mentioned him. Saris was Robin Sachs. You mentioned him. Quellick was Patrick Breen, and Missy Pyle was
Laliari.
Laliari.
Yeah.
Second choice for that was Jennifer Coolidge. I don't think Jennifer would have been as good in that.
No.
She's
I've
not.
always I've always liked Missy Pyle. I think she's really got a neat look to her,
I
which
do
makes her
too.
endearing. And her voice always changes per character and works for me.
Mhm. Well, and I
Um,
think that Jennifer Coolidge is fabulous too, but I think she would have been miscast. I just don't see her doing that.
No.
She's more of a
I,
sex pot type,
right.
you know.
Right.
And
Now,
Missy's very
now,
quirky.
Anne Ferris could have done this. She
I don't
could
know
have
who
done
that
this.
is.
She's the girl that's on My Mom or whatever, the series, and she's
Oh,
done
Anna. Yeah.
Anna.
Anna Ferris could have done it. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, she was on all the Scream parodies.
She would have probably been too young though.
Maybe at the time in '99. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, when did she do the Scream parodies? She was in all those, whatever the the funny ones that they did to make fun of Scream. I cannot remember what they
Oh,
were.
scary movies.
Scary movie.
I don't know. There's so many of them things. I don't know when they started.
Yeah.
Um,
But like we said, Rainn Wilson is in it too.
Jed Reese played Teb. He
Mhm.
reminds me of that kid that played Evil Ed on Fright Night.
Yeah, he does.
So there's a key for you. And the young Brandon was played by Justin Long, who is
Justin Long.
barely recognizable because he is just a kid. And he was competing against Kieran Culkin, Eddie Kane Thomas, and Tom Everett Scott for the role, all of which are all actors now.
Yeah.
And he beat them out.
Well, this was his debut, and this was also
Mhm.
Rainn Wilson's cinematic debut.
It was. I don't have Rain in here, but he was in this because I did see him.
Yeah.
He's in the car, isn't he?
Well, yeah, he's the the one that gives him the Coke and tells him about the la 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 migration of 1940. He's telling them the history.
Right.
No, Quellig is telling the history. Rainn Wilson's the engineer. He's the one that gives him the Coke. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot his character name. It's like Lonk or something. Lank, some weird.
Justin Long, though, out of all of these folks, I mean, obviously Sigourney Weaver and Shalhoub and Sam Rockwell are working, but Justin Long is one of the ones that he's done a ton of stuff since then.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I ever saw him in was a movie called Jeepers Creepers, which was kind of scary.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I mean, can you think of other things that he's been in? He's been in a lot.
I've just seen him everywhere, and it's usually a comedy because he seems to be very good at that.
He's kind of got a Keanu Reeves look, but he's a better actor.
But he's better. I think he was in one of the Die Hards. I remember that.
Okay.
He's done a lot of collegey kind of stuff, because I remember one that where he was like in a college student. It was like accepted was the name of it, and he was the lead in that as well. Done a lot of fraternity kind of, where he's the non-fraternity goober kind of guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. I just don't know what movie it is.
I think it was called Accepted.
I've never seen it or heard of it, but I'll believe you.
Yeah, he's really strong in this. I thought he was really good as well. I even liked some of the lesser, smaller characters. I liked just the few scenes that his team has. About, hey, do you have the chompers? Well, no, Alex, I think has all the. So I've got levels 1 through 4, and
he's such a nerd.
Cool, yeah. And I like his parents in the two scenes where she makes him do the garbage, and then the scene where he explains the whole firecracker thing. Where are you going with those? Well, the protector was coming in too hot, so no, me and the friends are going to do it as a landing pad. And she goes, "Okay, we'll be home for dinner."
Right.
And just goes back to the paper.
Yeah, it's like I wasn't expecting a thesis.
Yeah. Really, really good. So cast-wise, strong. I love the design work. Some of the lines I've got written down just immediately. You broke the ship. You broke the bloody ship. And then Sigourney doing the look. I have one job to do on this ship. It's stupid, but I'm gonna do it because all she does is repeat the computer, which is a direct key to Nichelle Nichols. Just saying what was, already been said or whatever. That
Yeah,
sort of thing.
I mean, I've got that Star Trek, the original series, is a key. I'm not going
Such
to
a
listen to
huge
Nichelle Nichols though.
Yeah,
I'm just going to say the
huge
whole
key.
show.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I didn't, I've seen this movie probably 24 times.
Okay.
So I know it very well. I did notice again in this one, and I wanted to do some research finally, because right before the chomper scene, they've come through the ducts and they've fallen and they've gone across the Omega 13 bridge and all that. And
Oh, that's
they're
a
about to
Star
do
Wars thing. I forgot about
oh
that.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely the Star Wars section. But also, Trek original series always had that, crawling through the ducts, like in,
Alien.
Well, yeah, but remember in Day of the Dove,
Right.
she had to crawl through the ducts and everything else.
Uh-huh.
But then the chompers, and as soon as they turn around, because he's talking to Brandon, and Brandon goes, and then you just straight on through the chompers, and they turn the corner and you see those things going everywhere, and she goes, fuck this. I mean, clearly that's what she says. But
Right.
in the movie, it says, screw this. And she's dubbed.
Right.
So
they were trying to get a better rating.
Yes.
Yeah.
They had to cut that one, and they had to cut in the first scene. And it would have been funny, but it's a Laredo, Tommy Laredo sign where he goes, "You're full of shit," you know that? And he says, "You're full of crap" in the dub version. But yeah,
I think I read about that.
Yeah, they had to do it to get the PG-13 rating. And
now I think you can say fuck in a PG-13, can't you?
I don't know.
One
Maybe.
of them you can say it like twice, maybe. I don't know.
We'll give you 2, but that's it.
I mean, I'm
No
seeing
more.
stuff on television now that I never thought I would see.
Well, they don't have the MPAA rating. That's right.
Why. Well,
Cable's
I mean,
never had that.
Walking Dead, I don't think I've seen the F-bomb, but they say everything else.
Well, mature subject matter. Gotta have the warning, but then you're good to go.
Right.
But, and again, AMC's cable, not the 3 networks, which have
and NYPD Blue, what can I say?
Yeah, NYPD Blue. They started it all.
They did with that guy's ass.
Yeah. Where was I going? I was going to go with the
well, I got some awards but you were doing lines.
Oh, lines. Oh, minors, not minors.
That's a great line. And the way you said it reminded me of Neil on The Young Ones.
Yes. And I thought of you as soon as I saw it, because, of all the alliteration you do on our teasers, for YouTube and Facebook and everything else. And minors, not minors. It's just changing the word to make it
the minor. I wonder if I could do something. Minor aliens, but
when he's been, the scene you've got there in your thing is him being chased by Grignok, the rock monster.
Right.
And he's talking to Alexander, and Alexander's going, well, Jason, you'll just have to find his motivation.
Motivation.
What's it really want? And he goes, it's a rock. It doesn't have any motivation.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, from what I understand, is a Shatner key.
Yes.
Because he apparently wanted rock monsters for his fifth Star Trek movie.
Yes. For Star Trek
and was
5.
denied them. Yep.
Well, and also it's an homage back to the rift between Nimoy and Shatner, about Shatner always took lines away from him. Shatner always had to have a ripped shirt. Shatner always had to be the star. and took those away from Nimoy, even though Nimoy was clearly more popular than his Spock character than Kirk was at the time, and that because I see you managed to get your shirt off. That's another one of my favorite. I mean, I've used that on the podcast before. When we did the Trek podcast, I was doing, I see you managed to get your shirt off, because that was just such a gag.
But when they were talking about Shatner saying he wanted rock monsters, I was like, well, what about the Horta?
Yeah, that's a great key.
Well, it's not just a key, but I'm like, does he not remember there was a rock monster on the original series?
Yeah, but it was called the pizza ravioli monster. It wasn't really, it was the pizza monster, because they had the pizza monster and then the ravioli monsters.
It was actually a silicon monster. I think.
It was silicon-based life form, yes, but with nodules.
Yeah.
Nodules. That same scene that we're talking about has another great line when he's talking to him. They beam up the pig monster, and it is inside out. And he goes, wait, did I hear you say it came up inside out? And all of a sudden it blows up, and the guy goes, and it exploded.
Yeah. And he's got like shit hanging off of his eyebrow.
He's got pieces of it hanging off of it. And Tawny is there, and her communicator has pieces of it on. She goes, hold, please. It's such good stuff. I swear. I can talk about this movie for days. I love it.
I thought it was funny how this guy, Saris, could actually... I mean, that race of aliens was obviously more intelligent than the Thermians, because he knew they weren't real, that they were on a television show, whereas the Thermians couldn't make that distinction.
Yeah, the two issues I have with the movie, one's a plotting conceit, because I always do that, but is they've watched enough of the historical records to build this entire ship. Not only this entire ship, an element of it, the Omega-13, that nobody knows what it does, and it was never said what it does, but fan theories have it this way, that way, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That doesn't make sense that you could build something that is never referred to in the historical documents, kind of thing. But also the fact that the big conceit of them is they don't understand deception. They don't understand lying. They think deception is a plot that characters do to further an agenda, but they wouldn't normally lie. It's what did we talk about Wrath of Khan? You lied. I exaggerated. But the concept that, Galaxy Quest can't be the only show they should have seen, because they even refer to Gilligan's Island. Right. Because he goes, those poor people.
Those poor people.
Yeah. But even in Gilligan's Island, they lie. The characters lie in that show. And so the fact that they don't have any concept of lying or deception or a television show.
And when they find out you do it, it's very sad.
Yes. But then again, a big key for me, since we're dropping keys left and right, is explorers.
Okay.
With that comment, because explorers, turns out at the very end, you find the alien race. The alien race has built something based on the early broadcasts coming from Earth. And it's a direct, I don't know when Explorers came out, but I thought it was in the 80s.
Probably about 84,
85. So, this is kind of a thing from that sort of thing. I thought Saris's design and his performance was great, though. I loved the fact that he had those funky wings that opened up when he got pissed off.
Right. What else has that actor done? I know that name.
Jason Sachs?
Robin Sachs.
I have it written down. Where is it? I can't find it.
I have his picture here, but I didn't, I don't have IMDb open. He's always like a secondary character in the back, and you wouldn't recognize him anyway, not from this. Okay. No, not from this, for sure. But he's good.
I know him because he played a villain, a really good, cool villain in the first 2 seasons of Buffy. He played Ethan Rayne in Buffy, who was a really cool demonologist,
I don't
who was
remember him.
he was a contemporary of Giles.
Oh, Giles. Okay. That makes sense.
And because he's British and everything else. So I knew him from that, but then he's gone on to do some movies and everything else, but you wouldn't recognize him, of course, because he's not green with the thing on his head and stuff.
I've got some awards. Our favorite, the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Film, does the Saturn Awards, and Tim Allen actually won Best Actor on that. But it was nominated for a shit ton. It was nominated for film, actress, actor supporting, Alan Rickman, younger actor, Justin Long, best director, best music, best costumes, best makeup, and best special effects.
Should have won them all.
Well, it was nominated for them all, but only Tim won. And then it was also a winner of a Hugo Award for best dramatic presentation. But it is not in the 1001 movies you must see before you die.
What?
It's
Sacrilege.
Sorry.
We're going to have to call that guy up.
Yeah.
Say, hey, for a while you were going good, but no, now you're not.
Jason Snyder, isn't that his name, I think?
Who
I don't have it written down because it wasn't in there.
Jason Nesmith Snyder or whatever.
Jason Nesmith. Didn't he play in the Monkees?
Well, that's another key, Nesmith.
Is that why they chose that name?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Because the Monkees was filmed at the same time as original Star Trek.
Oh, that's right. And they
Desert.
actually put Chekhov on there because he looked like David Jones. I forgot about that.
Correct. It was really big at the time. And so that's one of the reasons why they picked Nesmith as Jason's name. That was a key. It's hard to do keys with this just because there's so many layers to it. It's like another great line I like is that same scene with the Grignock where Guy steps up and goes, well, maybe improvise a weapon. Can you make a rudimentary lathe?
That was hilarious. I'm like, he's running around from this monster and they're wanting him to stop and do like the Gorn episode from Star Trek.
Doing Arena.
Yeah.
Right? Can you make some sort of rudimentary lathe? Stop it. Just stop it.
Is there some sulfur and some powder around that you can mix together?
Yeah. Guy, one of the keys I have is that reading about it, Sam Rockwell did pattern his character Guy after Bill Paxton in Aliens.
I have that.
Yeah, the whole
let's put her in charge.
Yeah. And I die before the credit sequence and Tech Sergeant Chen going, has it ever occurred to you that maybe you're the plucky comic relief?
Right. It's like he's trying to lift his spirits or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So we could probably do keys. I mean, we're already there. I think we've done.
We had mentioned J.J. Abrams somewhere earlier.
Why would we though?
In the audio commentary from his version of Star Trek, the first film, he says that I think we've all go on record as saying one of our favorite Trek films is Galaxy Quest, and the sequence where Kirk and Sulu are falling toward Vulcan without a parachute is an homage to Tony Shalhoub's great save in that film.
Ah, okay, makes sense.
So Abrams even paid homage to the movie in his Star Trek.
Yeah, by Grabthar's hammer. The gag reel of this is out and it is hilarious. You should look it up. The gag reel is hilarious, and also all the extended features have the scenes that they cut. Like there's an entire scene in Alexander's quarters or in Dr. Lazarus's quarters where Quillig is like, we have everything for you, and it opens up and there's like all this weird torture bed with spikes and stuff like this. And that's where he's supposed to sleep. I
love when they serve them food that they thought they would like because of their backgrounds, and his is like alive.
Yeah, it's a
and squirming.
Mocklock or whatever, Mocklock
Yeah.
beetles or whatever, and it like flips up and flies away.
Yeah, it's gross, man.
Yeah. And the other one's worms and stuff squirming and all that. And then Jason's eating a steak from Iowa, which is another key to Kirk, who's
Right.
from Iowa, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's another scene that actually led to a continuity error in it. If you'll notice, Tawny DeMarco's costume keeps getting more and more revealing as the crisis goes on.
I saw
And
that. That was kind of a Kirk or a Shatner thing too.
yeah, well, and it really opens up after they, disarm the Omega-13, which stops at 1 second, but the reason that it suddenly cuts from like being zipped up and everything else to being zipped down and you can see her bra and everything else is because there's a scene that's cut there where one of Saris's guards shows up and she has to seduce him and does the big seduction kind of thing.
Oh, okay. So that's why her blouse was open or whatever.
Right.
Her jacket
Leads
was
to
open.
that big cut.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it looks weird.
It does look weird. I was wondering about that.
Yeah, so that led to a continuity error they couldn't really fix. So
Yeah,
there
it
you
was
go.
a sexual continuity error.
Yes.
I've got Guy Fleegman's character was an intentional homage to The Next Generation. A guy named Guy Vardaman, who apparently played several no-name extras in the series and was a stunt double for Brent Spiner and Will Wheaton.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So
Name
it
him
was just
Guy
like a
for that.
name homage to an actor that was on Next Generation.
like
Obviously,
that.
I did not know that. That came from IMDb.
I did not either. And in the ending credits, he gets like some name. They call him like Rock. He's like security officer Rock Ingersoll, which to me was a key to Zach Allen's character in Babylon 5, because he plays the security guy and he's that kind of pompous rogue sort of, smiles at the camera kind of attitude, cocky security guy in Babylon 5.
One thing I did know is that the Klaatu Nebula has to be an homage to
It is
The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Of course it is. We are Samians from the Klaatu Nebula.
Yeah.
Yep. I've got one I didn't know about, but I found out in researching the NSSA Protector, which is the name of the ship. Its serial number is N, like in Nancy, TE
I heard this.
3120.
Right.
And NTE stands for Not the Enterprise.
Right. Yeah, I read that too, and I thought that's pretty fucking funny.
I thought that's pretty cool. Yeah.
This one I did not know, but I found it fascinating, is that the screenwriter Robert Gordon got the idea for the chompers after seeing the movie Event Horizon with all the rotating
with all the
blades. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. Although that's a terrible, terrible film. But I remember that.
I keep wanting it to be good, though. I keep wanting to
know.
go back to it and it be good.
It wanted to be, but then it just didn't know how to tell a story.
I think there's a version of it, like Alien 3 somewhere, that is good.
Really? Because I mean, there are entire characters that disappear for like 30 minutes.
It could just be me making that up.
I want the...
But it feels like it's true. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I think there's a lost version of that movie that's actually good. It's like Hellraiser in space.
There's another classic Trek key in the Thermian design. The fact that they don't look like they really are is by any other name, the Kelvins, because the Kelvins don't look like they really are. Spock mind melds with her and says, I got the image of a multi-tentacled creature. And they've said, the writers said that that's what they were paying homage to, is by any other name in the Trek episode.
Okay. I have so many, I'm having to move my notes around.
I am too. I'm looking at them now, moving them over.
I thought, usually I can just have half screen, but it won't let me scroll for some reason. I mentioned Event Horizon. Apparently, the weapon used by Saurus is very similar to the Zorg fighters from the Fifth Element.
Fifth Element. Oh, yeah.
This one I found fascinating too, is that the teardrop shaped formations when the ship is taking off is based on Roger Dean's cover of the live album Yes Songs.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
But they Yes had very unique album artwork that was
Album
very
art.
very cohesive amongst all the albums. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Interesting. A design element I saw was that the actual ship itself is based on the, what has now become the Star Trek symbol, the Enterprise symbol. That's why it looks like it does, with the point at the front and then the wings coming out on the side, like the Enterprise A.
Okay.
I read that. I don't really know if that's like a retro key, like they made that up after or something, but
Sigourney Weaver's character is heavily based on Aaron Gray's character from Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. Did you get that? I never watched that show.
Yeah, I could get it from the fact that she's wearing the tight costume and she's the kind of support background girl, love interest sort of thing. Yeah, I could get some of that, but I don't think a lot. I don't know if that would have been a huge factor for me. I did see that I looked at it again in the, they don't call it the Next Generation. I can't remember what they call the ending credits. The ending credits is like Galaxy Quest 10 years later or something, whatever. Galaxy Quest, New Voyages.
You're talking about the second series. I can't remember either.
In the ending credits, it's like before MCU did ending credits, it was like an ending credits thing. But it's the credit sequence for the new series, and they even say after 18 years, which is how long it was between original series and Next Generation, by the way. That's why they said 18 years. But after 18 years, they're back, and and even Guy's in it. But when they show Tawny as Gwen DeMarco, she takes a thing out of her ear. She turns from the console and takes a thing out of her ear. And I went, oh no, that's Nichelle, that's Uhura again. Right. There. So I thought that was cool.
That was cool. And it's before we were all running around with them in our ears nowadays.
Right.
I've got when the Thermians run in their silver suits, moving their arms up and down, they appear to be paying homage to the aliens from Invaders from Mars.
Oh, I hadn't gotten that one, but I could see that. Yeah, because they do this kind of waddle thing when they walk.
Yeah. Because a lot of these I'm yanking off IMDb because I know the Star Trek references. I don't know all these.
Invaders from Mars, they're trying to get used to the human form. They're not used to it. So that
of course, Toy Story I've already mentioned, which is Buzz Lightyear. Apparently there's also a reference to a similar situation in Flight of the Navigator.
Flight of the Navigator? Is that because they're wearing silver suits?
It's when he's running with the armload of fireworks. There's apparently a
yeah. They do the same thing to make a landing zone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, make a landing zone. That makes sense. I think I got this one off IMDb or saw it somewhere, but Saris's ship is a combination of the Doomsday Machine, Planet Killer, and the Romulan battle cruiser. So, I could see that. I thought it was a cool design. I thought it was a cool design for Saris's ship. It was to me, the key I got was Battle Beyond the Stars. It reminded me of that. Not really your typical normal spaceship design that you would see, because it has a big maw in the front of it and it's all green
it looks
modeled.
Like it's flying backwards. It looks like that should be its butthole. Yeah.
Right. And I don't think ships have buttholes, but anyway, but also But also the fact that it looks organic, it looks more organic, not streamlined.
Yeah,
And,
that's that's actually very, what's that movie again? Event Horizon 2, now that you mention it.
yeah, I can see that kind of weird design to the ship.
This one I'm going to read because it's long and I found it interesting. Sigourney Weaver, Sam Rockwell, and Alan Rickman have all appeared in other films involving space travel. Weaver was an alien opposite Sir Ian Holm as a robot. Rothwell played Zaphoid Beeblebrox, an alien who writes travel guides for space travel in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And Rickman played a robot in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, also in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, opposite Martin Freeman. Holm and Freeman have both played Bilbo Baggins.
Oh, wow.
That is weird.
Wow.
That's weird
That
connection,
is weird.
isn't it?
That's some weird connection. Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I mean, it's not a key really, but it's definitely incestuous in some form.
Yeah. My last two, I think I'm fine. Okay.
The only other
There's
one I
two
had was
modern.
Sorry, I was just
Go
going to say
ahead.
the only other one I have you've already mentioned, and that was the thing with those the spider legs.
There's two kind of modern ones, which is, and one is kind of like this was trying to be Galaxy Quest, but not Galaxy Quest because it's more serious kind of thing. The Orville, Seth MacFarlane's series, is actually more of an homage to classic Trek, but it has a lot of similarity to Galaxy Quest. The ship looks similar in design. The bridge looks similar in design. The uniforms even look really close to the uniforms in Galaxy Quest.
Is it?
And then the
Is
other
that show a spoof?
No, it's actually a good science fiction show that has comedy in it because it's Seth MacFarlane, of course. So it's going to have comedy. I think you would like it. It's
on Amazon,
but it's not
or
done as
Netflix?
it's really hard to describe because it's not done as a spoof. It's done as this is a science fiction series that just happens to have funny people in it. So like the navigator is always wanting to get drunk and always wanting to, a very freshman-y kind of attitude to him. He wants to chase skirts. He wants to get drunk. He loves to fly a ship because he can go really fast. It's just his character, but it's not. But he also has dramatic scenes, and he also has sacrifice for the crew, and yada yada. That sort of thing. And then the last one is Black Mirror, which last year's my favorite episode of Black Mirror is USS Callister, which is directly taken from Star Trek and from Galaxy Quest. Design elements from Galaxy Quest, but the overall story arc feel of Star Trek. So,
I'm out, but I just remembered one that you forgot to bring up, and that was them pulling the ship out of
dry dock.
Yeah, because we had talked about that when we were watching or covering, I should say, Wrath of Khan a while
And
back.
Starship Troopers.
Right.
Yep. And that's the other, David has a nitpick about the movie for me because there is no way that it would have happened physically because the ship has a point and then it has these great big wings and they show the point scraping along forever forever. And then suddenly it comes out and the great big wing sticks out. And I went, no, the wing would hit before the front of it did. But that's just me being picky.
That would have been something that would have happened on the show within a show.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure.
And that's another great setup too. He goes, well, I'd hate to be the captain. And he goes, Tommy, take us out. And he goes, what? Are you kidding me?
And he tells him it's just like on the show.
Yeah, they designed this based on watching your movements. So take us out. I got this. Yeah, you're right. He was very underrated in this because he has some of the funniest lines. all the way through it.
The thing I remember the most is him just freaking out when the ship's getting shot at and bombed, and him just running around screaming. That was what was really funny to me.
My arm's broken. Yeah. Any final thoughts on Galaxy Quest other than go watch it? It's awesome.
No, I think that your idea of making it a 30 Rock show would be awesome. Somebody needs to do that.
Yes.
I would watch that.
I would too.
Heartbeat.
I would too.
And since it's television, it's easier on actors. So, I'm sure Sigourney Weaver would be up for it.
And if you did it on Netflix, you only have to do 8 or 10 freaking episodes because that's
Right.
all anybody does now.
Mhm.
You know, but yeah, so I guess we should thank everybody for listening to us. And if you're new and this is your first time, hopefully we didn't bore you too much. Hopefully you liked it, but we'd love to hear what you thought. Did you like it? Did you not? Let us know. You can email us. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us our website, johnnyhasthekeys.com. You can email us as well, but we would love to hear from you. And if you're a fan and been listening to us, thank you. Thank you. Please return next week. We got some new stuff coming. We're nearing the end of the 3rd season, Tim.
Oh my God.
3 years. Wow.
We only have 3 seasons, but it's not been quite 3 years, I don't think. We have 3 movies left, and our 40th, the final series finale, is a double feature. Our 5th double feature this season. So
going to be crazy.
It is.
Yes. So thank you all again. We encourage you, please subscribe. We would love to have more people subscribe to us. Give us a good rating. The higher you rate us, the longer we can hopefully do this for a while. Consider being a Patreon member. We have special stuff on our Patreon to all of our Patreon members, including other series. And Tim has a great book. And that's not BS, by the way. I mean, we don't say that just because it's Tim. This is a great book.
No, I'm just laughing because I've always thrown it up there and it fucks with you, and I shouldn't do that.
The Dead Next Door. You can get it on Amazon. You can get the ebook. You can get whatever you want. It's great. And it's the first of a trilogy. And Tim is, it's great. I'm
working on the second one.
Good zombie. So if you like zombies, go there.
Yeah, let's go. We got 3 left. We need to do another zombie in the next 3.
You know what, Tim? I think next week we should do some with zombies.
I think we should too.
All right.
I'll see you then.
See you then.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
You can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.